Well, good morning for those of you on the West Coast. Good afternoon for those of you on the East Coast. My name is Matt Simmons, President of Simtech Solutions. I appreciate you taking the time to virtually meet with us. And, in some regards, it's, this pandemic made it easier for the virtual work. We're all kind of familiar with it. And that's a lot of what we do, is supporting technology to virtualize and automate, the work you're doing in addressing homelessness. So let's dive in, talk about, we've got a mix, just a little background as far as attendees are concerned. I don't know, it's probably a 60-40 split, maybe 70-30 about with existing clients, and then those that are curious. I don't know, if they need a little nudge to get over be pushed over the line to start working with us, or just, and there's some things that we'll be talking about that are not technical that, can apply to anyone, even if you're doing a paper-based count. But we'll just dive in just to really give an idea of who's on. I think people are again, and I encourage you to use the chat to introduce yourself. And if you want to throw in there too, like you've been using our tech for a while, how many years you've been using it, I think that's pretty cool. We've been doing this work since, let's see, I use my son's date of birth to figure this out. So since 2013, 2013, I think was when we first did the mobile tech for HUD. So that the HUD licensed our tech, and then so I think we 2015 or so was probably when we first came about using the Counting Us app. So we've had a good opportunity to work with several of you since the beginning. Jump over here. All right, so yeah, we're gonna mute, out of respect, we're trying to mute as many people as possible. We just want to keep things rolling and not have the sounds of chewing or typing in the background. If you do have a comment or question, please throw it in the chat. And we are going to record this, so if you're not able to hang on for the whole time, or if you want to share this with some of your friends or colleagues, you can do that. And then if you do want to have follow-up email, with a recording, just shoot us a message at team@cintechsolutions.com. We'll send it out to you. But we'll try to send it out to most people. So quick agenda. Dan Treglia is joining us. Dan and I have had an opportunity to work together for a few years now. He's going to talk about some of the recent work that he's doing with the National Alliance to End Homelessness and some COVID-19 considerations. We also have our colleagues north of us here in California with Miracle Messages. They're going to share a bit about their work and the optional free survey that you can add into your offering to hopefully reunite people living on the streets with some loved ones. Then we're going to share a live demo of the tech. There's probably should be a little piece in before that. We're going to talk about planning stages, so some things you can be doing now to get ready for it. So we'll insert a little bullet there on the fly. Then the live demos, and then talk a little bit about Show the Way, and then provide you some additional resources, to follow up on. So a little bit of background about Simtech. We were founded in 1998, really made the switch towards homelessness in 2001. That was really the kind of a pivotal moment for us. So what we do is we provide technology to wrap around services beyond what we have in HMIS. So reporting solutions in our homelessdata.com data warehouse. We have Show the Way, which is an outreach app to support ongoing data collection and case management using a device that's meant for the streets, not a PC. As well as we have the Counting Us app. We developed that, again, I think it was 2012, and we have a 30% coverage rate in the U.S. geographically. Big part of that is some of the balance of state COCs obviously helps cover that geography. So we have 13 of those. We've got some big ones on there with Texas and South Dakota and Georgia, and you can see the map. But and then we've got everything from some large cities, like Houston, San Diego's taking a break this year, but they're a client of ours. So we do have some of that where people are opting out, and then we've got really small communities too. So it runs the gamut. So some of them are just little dots on the map, and some are bigger. And then as far as our background goes, on the technical side, we've authored some of the key documents, the HMIS vendors and others adhere to for HUD. So really kind of run the gamut. But the idea is whatever we can do to apply technology to help quantify and address homelessness, that's really our mission statement. For this year, there's a handful of new updates. The point in time is a 1-year exercise, but for us it isn't. We work on it, all year round. I'm not going to go through them all. We're going to kind of hit on these in a few, some of them, but you can read for yourself what it is that you have available to you that's upgraded. One thing that I do want to just reiterate again is this technology is an evolution, and it always will be. We're never done until we can house, address homelessness. I know it's cliche, but you'll see some of your own input in this list. And if you have ideas and feedback of how we can make our solutions better, please email us or just call us, because we want this to work well for you. So, I know Texas Balance of State, for example, they're on the call, and, the count team and region management that we did for them, you're all benefiting from that. And so thank you, Texas Balance of State, for having the idea of how can we manage a large region like ourselves, like ours, and break it up. And that's how that was born. Some of the other expanded survey support, I think Texas was involved in that as well. I think El Paso, really wanted that. So now we support Spanish surveys. The Miracle Messages work was not really a direct request, but it was a kind of a byproduct of doing the count and kind of having opportunities where I wish I could really help this person more, but I'm moving on. And we'll talk about that in a second, and so what could we do to add value to the count exercise, and help people on the spot. So and point being is this is not done, but I think we're pretty far along. And again, if you have ideas or suggestions, please let us know. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic. Here you go, Dan. So I don't know if you're unmuted, but
I did unmute myself.
All right.
Yeah. And I hear an echo somewhere in the background, so I don't know who I'm getting that from. But so everyone, my name is Dan Truglia. I'm a researcher at the University of Pennsylvania. I've been working on homelessness for a while now. And one of the kind of latest bits of work that I've been doing, and part of that work for the last 15 years has been focused on point in time counts. And right, the reason this webinar is taking place is that everything is changing this year in many ways, right? How we just kind of do and think about conducting a pit count, right, changes this year. HUD issued their guidance that offered a lot of flexibility. And so what I've been working with a couple of colleagues at Penn and the National Alliance on Homelessness to put out some guidance that we hope kind of simplifies the HUD guidance and makes it a little bit more concrete, a little bit more straightforward, and relatable. And we are also giving a presentation on a National Alliance webinar immediately after this. So if you have two screens, on your second screen, go check out the NAH website. And sorry, Matt, go back. Okay. And here's kind of just some of the things that we're kind of highlighting. And you can see that on the left side, and you can also go to the NAEH website to check out the whole report. But try to focus on how we can think about using outreach teams instead of kind of our usual reliance on volunteers, just because volunteers are going to be kind of hard to coordinate and maybe not legal to use in certain states where there are stay-at-home orders, and other places where it's just going to be unsafe and very complicated. And then how can we improve the efficiency of street counts, right? And HUD has offered a lot of leeway here in terms of using observations only or abbreviated counts, expanding the time frame. One thing that I know Matt loves is when we talk about using mobile app-based surveys, and just how we also train enumerators and think about sampling. And that's something that I've worked with Matt on quite a bit over the last few years, is how do we help communities create robust, methodologically rigorous, but not kind of hard or complicated samples, so we can have replicable and kind of statistically kind of meaningful counts from year to year. And so we'll be going over that at our, what I guess it's gonna be 2 o'clock on the East Coast presentation on the NAEH site. So that's my quick plug. I feel weird with a self plug, but I'm embracing it for now. And you can go to that. I'm guessing you can go to that link to check it out. You can also, Matt knows how to get a hold of me, as does anyone on the Simtech team. I think Google will also do the job. So should you have questions about kind of doing pit counts generally and doing this kind of in the present moment, feel free to reach out. Just let me know.
All right, thanks, Dan. And we can copy and if someone can copy and paste that link and throw it in the chat to make it a little easier, so you don't have to try to retype that. That'd be great. So yeah, and no problems plugging your work, Dan. It's, you know, you've been a good colleague over the years, and I think this is important for people to see. You know, we're not going to dive too far into the tech, but well, maybe a little bit. Well, I should preface that. So some of the work that you're seeing here is how can we use existing data to inform the sampling models that you might implement, and sampling might be way above and beyond what you need for a community. If you have the volunteers or the outreach staff, and you know, maybe it's a small geography, or you just have that coverage rate, this is not for you. You know, you really should try to do the full canvas. It's that's the ultimate. So the idea of doing sampling enumeration is really when you don't have that luxury. You know, you have to fall back on something. So how do you create an accurate estimate? Well, it's similar to when, you know, you might get, you know, a phone call. It used to be these people would call you. Now it's everything's online, where, you know, it's a polling, right? So you're, you know, 1,000 people surveyed, you know, like, I don't know, Family Feud, 100 people surveyed, and the top response. You can get a representative sample with a big enough sample size of what's going on in your community, but you need to have that sample set up properly in order to have an idea of, is this representative of the whole? So the portion that we do. So what we're able to do is use known locations to help guide that process. So what are known locations and where do we get them from? So you can get known locations from different ways. So there is a known location survey that it's optional in the contract agreement. If you don't have a contract agreement, you're still on the other side. You'll see that if you just request one. And it's a free offering. And the idea is to go out and start dropping pinpoints and having people drop pinpoints. And with that, it's really a basic survey question: is how many people that you believe are homeless are living in this location. And what you're seeing on this animated GIF is the different, those pinpoints showing up, and they're color coded. And there's a key is not showing. It was trimmed out, but it's basically saying, you know, there's different, you know, 0 to 1 people, you know, 1 person is, you know, 1 color, and then, you know, certain densities are different colors. What that means is we can start getting an idea of the density patterns throughout the region. So you can use the community to do this. It's really quick and simple. You can use search responders. You can use your outreach teams. And that's a way to do it, all right, is to gather information throughout the year, but with just really bare bones. No personal identifiable information. So much easier to say PII. And you just drop in pinpoints. And then the idea behind this is you can actually use this information to inform your team coverages. So right now, you know, we have to switch models away from, you know, everyone getting together in one big central location, having a big press event, and then everyone getting their stacks of paper or their instructions on using the mobile tech, and then going out into the community and sprawling. We need to decentralize that. And by having information up front and in providing virtual training and telling people where they're going to go and what they need to do, we can get rid of that whole, process. And it saves you from having to do the logistics of, I don't know, it's the electric, it's the coffee, it's all that other, fanfare that has to go with it. It's just gone. I know the press and the mayor may be missing that, and so you might have to do some kind of small event. So that's on you, but you don't need to do it for training of people using the tech. So known locations, it's the known location survey is one option. Another option is to gather information year round using your existing outreach teams. Show the Way is another product that we have that's more of a year round case management tool. If you have your other ways to collect latitude and longitude of locations, we can work that data into the command center. We need to coordinate with our help desk. So, if you have other ways to get the information, fine. These are just a couple options. Along those lines, the Counting Us app itself has customizable surveys. And for San Diego during COVID, to support a shelter-in-place model, as an example, we put in a meal and water tracking survey. And these numbers are actually even higher now, but they've been used to track over 100,000 meals throughout the community. It's probably closer to 200,000 now. About 2,000 meals a day. And this ongoing exercise, when you hand someone a meal, you mark that, where that meal was given, and we can build up a map, and that's our known locations. It's a big part of informing known locations. You can complement it with other data too, but point being is you can use these different ongoing exercises to say, where are our people? And part of that is we've got 20 outreach teams doing this work throughout the county. So, it's a pretty effective coverage rate in leveraging something that needs to happen because people need to eat. And if you can provide them food, then they don't need to be wandering around the community trying to find food. They can, work on the next, part of their life that needs attention. So there's that. So sampling and enumeration, once we know our coverage areas and, we consider high probability, I think HUD had a different term for them, highly likely, I forget what they were calling it. But once you determine your high probability areas, what's remaining is your low. And you can actually set up different strata. You can, strata basically the way you delineate your areas. You can have high, medium, and low. You can also look at having areas that are not to be covered, like a desert. We're not even, they're part of our COC, but no one goes in the desert. So we're gonna exclude that. So the idea being with a sampling methodology versus a complete canvassing census is you're just gonna do a random snapshot and gather information and then apply that to the whole. And,
Matt, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know I said that I was going to stay out, but I can't help myself.
No, I love it.
So let me also add a couple things. So we are, we're going to talk about kind of just the general kind of structure of sampling a little bit and the guidance behind it, and also the flexibility of sampling. Right, we can create different strata in different way based on the information that you have available to you. So maybe it's just your institutional knowledge, maybe it's information from outreach teams, maybe it's some sort of self-reporting tool. There are lots of ways that we can get this information, and we can kind of, and you can structure samples accordingly, right? You can go to every place if you have that capacity, but there are lots of places that don't have the capacity to get to every corner of their COC. So maybe you do a simple random sample, or you do, what Matt is describing here is a kind of a stratified sample where you divide your areas based on whether or not you think they're going to have people. And that's going to vary based on where you are, right? If you are in Philadelphia, for example, we've got 30th Street Station. We know there are going to be a lot of people there, so we have to go there. But there are other places where we know that's not the case, and so we can do some sort of random sample there. So this can be very flexible. And I just want you to kind of keep that in mind, that this can fit any number of approaches. It's a way of making these things systematic rather than just a team on a night going, yeah, we're going to get to this corner and this corner and this corner. And that's hard to kind of replicate and make apples to apples comparisons with from year to year. With a sample like this, you can kind of make those valid comparisons over time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the points to add to that, I shared a little bit about geographic sampling and enumeration, where you're randomly sampling high and low probability, like your low probability areas. The other, thought is if you can do a full canvas of your areas, but maybe you're only surveying in depth 1 out of 3 people. It's another option. Like there's other ways to go about a sampling strategy. So what's the good fit for you? To your point, it's going to vary between the regions, and that's something that we can help guide you through if you're not sure how to go about it. So thanks for chiming in. Anytime, it works.
No worries.
Yeah. So just to see it in action, this is Connecticut. So the state of Connecticut, what we did, the same exercise. This is a geographic-based sampling and enumeration approach. And using known locations, we're able to define the high probability areas, then to define what percentage of the available tracts we want to randomly select. And again, that information is kind of based on the number of volunteers you have available. Also, you need a minimum sample size in order to make this actually hold water. So, and we can, again, help you with that piece too. So what this is doing is it's behind the scenes, it's randomly selecting the 20% of the tracts to be sampled. And then once that happens, you've got a map. And then the map says, okay, these are the areas you need to go to. And everything that's not shaded on the map is areas you can ignore, which, for the state of Connecticut was roughly 60% of the entire state was really, left alone for the point in time count. And they could just focus on that 40% and, still get a reasonable and reliable estimate of the homeless prevalence rates statewide. So just sharing that some of the benefits of this, while it's a little bit more on the setup side of it, it means less work money of the count because, 40% is a lot less than 100. So there's that. And then, beyond that, once you have the data collected, what do you do with it? How do we extrapolate to the whole? So if you're only surveying 1 out of every 2 people, and you believe to be homeless, basically you need to double, say your racial categories, the breakdowns, you're going to double those to create an estimate for the whole. So when you go to run a report, you'll see the actual count, and then you'll see the gender response rates, for here. And then there's an estimate that gets applied that's derived based on these percentages. So if, out of all of these, and again, we understand there's no such thing as a quarter of a person, so you might have to, do some rounding, but we're showing to the decimal. But this is just so you can see how it works. You have the actual count from the surveys, and then once it's extrapolated, what the estimates would be based on the responses that were gathered. So that's something that's built into and it's available to everyone. And what you're just looking at, really, this SWAMP model is looking at the unknown, the ones that are blank, and then applying. Now you'll see over here the response rate. If this was below 80%, this would be color coded, because you do, there is a minimum. Now just doesn't mean you can't go with it, because again, especially with COVID, we have a little bit more of leeway on how we approach things for this year. But the point of it is just to look at this and say, do we have enough information for it to be a reliable sample size, and to be able to presume the rest of the population matches up for those that we did survey. If you only surveyed one person, that person happened to be a veteran, well, you can't assume 100% of your people are veterans. So to that point. Okay, I wanted to cover that part up front before we got into the demo, because Dan is presenting in a few. And so thank you, Dan, for being here. And if you need to bail, I get it. And, you know, I also wanted to be respectful of the time for Miracle Messages. So Madeline and Kevin and whomever else, to be able to spend a little time to share more about the optional offering to include the family unification survey for those that you are able to engage in this year's pit count. So if you can unmute yourselves, whoever would like to share, or we can do it for you. All
Can you hear me okay?
Can, Kevin, yeah.
Okay, I hear a little bit of an echo. Let me see if that helps. Is that any echo there? Okay, great.
I'm not hearing it, so.
Well, wonderful. Well, nice to be here with you all. Thank you so much, the Simtech team, for having us. It's great to be here. Nice to meet everyone. My name's Kevin Adler. I'm the founder and CEO of Miracle Messages. We are a nonprofit organization that helps people experiencing homelessness rebuild their social support systems. And we do that primarily through family and friend reunification services, which we utilize a global network of volunteer digital detectives to help people reconnect to their loved ones. I'll share more about that. And we also just launched a phone-based buddy system where we've done the kind of Big Brothers, Big Sisters program, matching unhoused individuals with volunteers for weekly phone calls and text messages. I'm joined by my wonderful colleagues, Jess Donig, who's our co-founder and executive director, Madeline Conley, our director of operations, Mark Askins, who's our lead digital detective, and Gabby Cordell, who's our general manager in South Florida. So I'll share a little bit about what we do, why we do it. I'll share my screen for a moment to show where we're currently working. And then happy to just give you additional contact information if you'd like to follow up. But we're excited about this partnership, Matt. So Miracle Messages really began 6 years ago. I had an uncle who was homeless for 30 years. He suffered from schizophrenia on and off the streets, but I never looked at him as a homeless man because he's a beloved member of my family. So after he passed away, I just started wondering, gosh, everyone I'm walking by is someone's son or daughter, brother or sister, some kid's beloved uncle. But what is the backstory? We don't hear that side of the story. You know, we often see people experiencing homelessness as problems to be solved rather than people to be loved. So what would it look like to see a person like my Uncle Mark, not as a problem, but as a person who's loved by someone? As my shirt says, everyone is someone, somebody. That's the Miracle Messages little official shirt. And so I took a walk down Market Street here in downtown San Francisco, went up to every person I saw experiencing homelessness and asked a very simple question that you'll now have a chance to include in your point in time count and in your outreach efforts. And the question was this: do you have any family or friends that you'd like to reconnect with, even if you don't know how to currently reach them? Do you have any family or friends that you'd like to reconnect with, even if you don't know how to currently reach them? Super simple question, right? Realize that that question may not always be asked, because what if they say yes? What do you do? Well, I asked someone that question and they said yes, and I didn't know what to do. But fortunately, this individual, Jeffrey, gave me enough information about his family, who's looking for, his niece, his nephew, his sister, that I went home and went on the internet and started sharing on social media, doing Facebook searches, ended up finding this guy's family. Turned out he had been disconnected for 22 years and a missing person for 12 years. And posted the thing, and friends commented and wanted to reconnect, and it's just this beautiful thing. And so from that point forward, that was really the first message. But 6 years later, it's not just us walking down the street anymore. It's now an opportunity for you to offer a similar question to your neighbors experiencing homelessness. Do you have any family or friends you'd like to reconnect with, even if you don't know how to reach them? And instead of blasting the thing out on social media and doing all these things that, you know, we're probably not comfortable with given the sensitivity of this data, we have a trained network of volunteer digital detectives that meet every week, Wednesday nights at 5:30 Pacific time. You can join the call if you don't believe me. And they get on and make phone calls, and they write letters, and they do digital searches for good. And we have all the data in a very secure database. Through those efforts, we've now been able to reunite over 400 people with their loved ones. The average time disconnected is 15 years. 80% of reunions lead to a positive outcome, and about 15% lead to stable housing or living with family again. And you know, the couple things I'll just say before I kind of turn it over to Jess real quick, just to kind of share a quick story. In South Florida, which is one case study, and I'm going to just put my email in the chat, as well as ways if you're interested to like learn more about us, get our annual report. You can put your email in the chat, and Madeline will copy your email down. So feel free to just put your email down. But we know that relational poverty is a form of poverty, and that it's often overlooked, and that people heal in community, right? And often we talk about homelessness and we're talking food, water, shelter, clothing. What about a sense of belonging? What about who's your someone? Who's your reason for being? And we know also that with relational poverty and addressing relational poverty through building relationships comes a lot of trust, communication, and accountability, which enables us to do some really exciting things. We've developed a buddy system through the shelter in place hotels, where we've now connected 120 individuals experiencing homelessness with trained volunteers for weekly phone calls and text messages. We have a partnership with a couple telecom companies where we've distributed phones. And those conversations, those pairs, the big brothers, big sisters for the homeless has been life-changing for a lot of individuals. And I should just mention, if you're really wanting to dive into the weeds at some point with us, feel free to reach out. We've actually are launching a universal basic income for people experiencing homelessness, where we're giving $500 a month to a limited number of participants of Miracle Friends for 6 months as a direct cash transfer program. So I'll just share in closing before handing it to Jess very briefly. Gabby Cordell, who's on the line listening in, and she's an angel in the outfield, if you will. She's our general manager in South Florida. She first heard about Miracle Messages as a volunteer, you know, said, hey, I'd like to do this in my community, was able to reconnect a few people. We hired her a year ago as our first general manager anywhere in the country. In the last year, this one individual who has a heart of gold, she's a very special person. She hits the streets every week, almost every day, going out, talking to people through her foundation, Choose Love Foundation. By asking this question, do you have any family or friends you'd like to reconnect with, even if you don't know how to reach them? She's now been able to reconnect over 60 people with their loved ones. One person in South Florida, 60 people, over 13 of those individuals have been able to get off the streets as a result. And it's just extraordinary what she's been able to accomplish in South Florida. So if you're interested in learning more about us, feel free to be in touch, put your email in the chat, and we'll follow up with you. But I just want to turn it over for the last 30 seconds to Jess, just to share a story of an example of how we've integrated into outreach efforts like the kind that you're going to be doing through Point in Time Count, to give an example of a more recent story. Jess?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, so I just wanted to share a story about a guy named Ramon, who we met in San Francisco right in the middle of the pandemic. And he was actually referred to us from somebody who said, I've seen him at the bus stop where I live day after day. He's not well. And I asked him if he wanted to reconnect with any family, and he said he was looking for his mom. And, you know, Miracle Messages took that case. We were able to find his mom right away. His mom said, we have been looking for Ramon for years. Please send him home. And, you know, Ramon has been home since a few weeks after we reconnected him, and he's doing so great. And, you know, this was a man who was ill, had been released from the hospital, really didn't have a place to go. And it was such a simple thing to ask him, is there anyone who you want to reconnect with? And the answer was life-changing. And that's one anecdote of more than 400 people who have been asked this question and have reconnected as a result. And it was just such an easy thing to do. And now that we have the Miracle Messages form integrated with you, it's something that everyone can ask, and hopefully everyone can benefit from the answer. So that's all I wanted to say. It's really quite an astounding thing that you can do just by asking the question. So yeah, really excited to be working with you this year.
Great. And I believe a few of you have asked me to follow up on my promise. And I'm trying, it says host disabled participant sharing on my account. I'm logged in twice to make it confusing.
Okay.
Here. So I just put here, and that's the one I'm trying to share my screen. That's my laptop.
All right. Nikki or Becky, would you be able to, as co-host, be able to grant Kevin access? Let me see if I can find a way to do it myself. I have one screen where I've made you a co-host, but maybe it's the wrong account.
It's my phone.
Oh, all right. Let's see if I can find the other one.
Okay. And I see a lot of folks have put in their emails. We'll follow up with you, send you the annual report, give you more information. So thank you for that. And I see all of you, and we'll be on that. And just in respect of all your time, I'll just put up on my phone, and I can kind of do it silly style, which is just let me turn off my virtual background, hold it up to the screen, and then you can see it. So we're getting real low tech here today. Okay, so that's see, I just changed from offices. You can see how my new office there. Okay, so this is our map. Oh, there we go. We're getting spotlighted.
We weren't looking at you in your video view, so I spotlighted you so everyone could see your phone.
Got it. Okay, so here is the phone. Oh, now I'm a co-host.
Yeah, it was the right. Yeah, once you became spotlighted, I could find you.
Okay, so now can you see the screen?
Yes, we're good.
Yes, all right. So here's where every dot, every kind of black marker there represents a person who has reconnected with their loved ones through Miracle Messages. And some data we haven't included here, but most of it you can see it's probably about 350 of the 400 plus that we've done. And what's really cool is I'm going to click show all reunions, and that's going to show where the family and friends were located who reconnected with their loved ones. So again, each black, so in San Francisco, you see 200 there. That's at our website, miraclemessages.org/impact. Each of those represents a person experiencing homelessness who reconnected to their loved ones. Take a look at this. It's like, I think we have more coverage than United or American Airlines, right? At least during the pandemic, unfortunately. And then what's kind of cool is you can zoom in to an individual area like this, and you see that Miami here, where Gabby has done her amazing work, you can actually click one of the blue boxes and you actually see the reunion story. And again, this is if the person has given us permission and the whole thing. And if someone wants to record a message, audio, video, that's fine. If it's just written, if it's typing in the point in time count, we do have a mobile app. We also have a hotline, and the phone number is 1-800-MISS-YOU. It's the easiest number you'll ever remember, 1-800-MISSYOU. And that is a way to reach us. And we also give that number out to neighbors experiencing homelessness, so we're accountable to them. But I just wanted to share that. I appreciate that. And then again, if you're interested, you could just email me. You go to our website, get involved, and you can kind of learn more about our relational poverty approach to homelessness, because we know relational poverty is a form of poverty, and that people experiencing homelessness are not problems to be solved, they're people to be loved. And that's really why we do what we do. So I really appreciate it, Matt, for all the time, and thanks everyone.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing. All right, we're going to get back to some of the planning stages. I know some of you are really anxious about the upcoming count. So I'm not sure if my screen's now already automatically being shared again.
Not yet.
All right, let's do that. back at it. And how about now?
All right, we're back in.
All right, so I'm going to try to be quick and efficient with our remaining time. Not always one of my strong suits, but I'm going to try. All right, so customizing your surveys. If you haven't done that as of yet, this is yours, Nikki. Sorry, I'm going to take the material.
It's okay. You're getting excited about trying to make us on time, but I'll take over. So as Matt had just started mentioning, one of the other steps that you might be looking into right now is if you've chosen to customize your surveys. So this can be done by going to our website, which after you sign up and we send you our welcome email, the link will come in that email, but it's here in case you need it. And you'll download the Point in Time Homeless Survey. From there, you can use track changes in Word or Google Docs, and then you can change the survey or make comments so that that can be shared with our team who can update it to meet your local needs. And then we'll send it back to you for review. So it's important to note that while you can customize most aspects of the survey, the HUD required questions have responses that allow you to produce the point in time report. So those cannot be changed. But all of that information is on the form. For this year, we know that many of you may want to shorten your survey to limit the time of contact during the survey. And so I did want to note as well that removing questions from our template surveys is available at no additional cost. Next slide, please, Matt. The next bit of information is on the volunteer registration portal. So this also can be customized. You can add your logo, you can share key details on your account, you can include links to FAQs or training videos or anything that you would like here. If you have the region and count team management feature, which I believe you'll get to see a little bit in just a moment, you can link these so volunteers will be able to actually sign up for a specific region in your area. And you can set up quotas for each region so that once a quota is met, you can make it so that no one else can sign up for that region. And this is really helpful with planning your count. Next slide. This year, with COVID-19, we are working with several COCs who have found ways to keep volunteers, staff, and people experiencing homelessness safe while still conducting a full unsheltered pit count. And part of that is by adding a disclaimer to their volunteer registration portal, asking volunteers to monitor their symptoms, to not show up if they are sick, send a message saying I can't come, or allowing volunteers to elect for lower risk activities, such as putting together hygiene kits or participating with people that are only within their household so that they have much less limited exposure. Yeah. And finally, how do you do this? This is another link that will be sent to you in your welcome email. And there's a form on our website that you will fill out, and it gives us all of the information that our awesome development team needs to set this up for you. So this includes things like general information about your count, a logo for your COC or your pit count, the questions that you'd like to remain, and you can include up to, I believe it's 4 custom questions. This year, of course, we've added some special COVID-19 questions that other communities have asked for that aren't part of that custom that you have to request, and then a volunteer release form and the email confirmation that will be sent out to your volunteers. And
right.
Next slide. Finally, the last bit of information, we have some additional resources available for you this year to help you if you are recruiting volunteers. Research shows that social media content with an image can actually get 94% more views than without an image. So we have graphic packs for Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook available on our website at that link so that you can get more volunteers recruited and help you out with your pit count. Back to you, Matt.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go through a relatively quick demo. And, just so everyone's aware, we have the time now to share collectively, but, our team, we do have a pretty sizable team. and good coverage. So Nikki, who's on, and as well as Becky and myself are typically the ones to be more front facing. And if you have additional questions, we can set up a time just to go through a demo, specific to your region. So if you don't feel like you got everything you need here, don't be shy. Team at syntechsolutions.com works pretty well as far as getting something. And if it's a help desk, like you're already set up an account, you have questions about setup and configuration, help desk, the way to get it is just PIT at syntechsolutions.com will trigger a help desk inquiry. So get you a ticket and we'll respond using that and work as a team together. So without further ado, as far as the demo goes, and we do have video tutorials, everything on our website as well. But I'm just going to share a quick demo of the app, and so you can see how it flows through. I've already logged in and registered, and we're going to show how to do that in another step. I'm not going to go through that part right now. So I'm signed on to a demo region. We've made these surveys available to the demo account. What you see on this landing page might be different because it's all customized and tailored to your local needs. For example, what Kevin just shared with Miracle Messages, if you opt to include the Miracle Messages survey, it's a unification survey. We can call this whatever, we can rename things too. We have that flexibility, but that's the survey here. Some of you are not doing an unsheltered count or just doing a sheltered count using the tech this year. Why aren't you using HMIS? What people might ask. HMIS isn't always the gold standard, either the data quality issues, or you don't have the adoption rates. You don't have 100% coverage. So there's that. And it's also, by using this technology for one day, that can be an auditing point of the data quality in HMIS. So there's other options, and reasons why you might want to do a shelter-based survey. So again, these two are optional, as well as a known location survey. Maybe you don't have the bandwidth to pull that off and gather information now, or you're doing a full canvas, so it's a moot point. So these three at the bottom, you may not see, or you may, depending on what you choose. And again, all three of these are free, but they are optional. So you just need to check them off if you want them. Don't check it off in the contract if you don't. All right. I'm going to start off with a brief unsheltered homeless survey. We also have the full unsheltered homeless survey. The main difference is some of the additional detailed questions about the disabling conditions and domestic violence, et cetera, which are in the full survey. So if I were to tap on the brief, individual or household, it's going to prompt me. So if I'm engaging a household, I would click that, and it asks me how many people are in that household, and it would loop through that many times. I'm just going to choose individual for now. In this case, it brings up my location. And from here, I'm going to first question, have you already been, you ask if someone's already been interviewed. If you say yes, then you're done. Otherwise, where you're sleeping the night of the count, we want to make sure the person is actually literally homeless. So abandoned buildings, et cetera. Some of these, if I put motel, it's going to say, thank you for your time, and you're done. This is the kind of logic, conditional logic, they call it, that prevent, you don't get in a long form. So, in this case, I'm choosing park, it keeps going. And again, it's basic demographics. In this case, I'm using a form filler. So I'm not going to fill out everything. The only requirement, and this helps for the household composition, is something around age. And so we have three ways to get to age. I can put my date of birth in. I could choose that. I was not born in 78, but I'm going to make myself a little younger than I am normally. And then it autofills the rest. If I don't get date of birth, I can put an age. If I can't get age, I can put an age range. So the point of that is, by knowing if someone's an adult or a child, we know where they fall in the point in time report. Basic demographics, I'm not going to go through all of this. And then submit survey. Notice the disabling conditions, the veteran status, all of that are not in this. So it's enough to generate the majority of the point in time report, but it's not the full survey. So just to be aware. So that's an option if you want to slim it down. In the full survey, same thing, but with those additional questions. Observation tally, again, it's, if I want to loop through, it would be, I'm not going to actually, I don't want to loop through in a demo, but that's where it would go. And this is basically things you can observe about someone. If I had Spanish surveys that took that option to include Spanish surveys, it would ask me there if I wanted to see the survey in Spanish or English, just to let you know. Now, what you're seeing here is my coverage map. So I've been assigned to an outreach team in this area, and this is my map. So I'm still within the confines of where I'm supposed to be. But if this pinpoint was over here, then I'm straying, and I need to go back into my turf, if you will. So just letting you know how that's for those that have the count team. So the region account team management function, you're able to assign geographic areas. In this case, we're using census tracts to do that, to designate where people are supposed to be heading. So again, same kind of thing, but really basic demographics of what you can visually, pick up. And I know that there's some sensitivity around visually determining someone's racial status or gender, but you're also presuming someone's homeless and housing status if you're just going to be doing a visual tally. So, I think that if you're going to make the leap that you're going to go for a visual observation, you should be able to make some basic visual guesses about someone's age range, et cetera. It's not an exact science. It's better to survey people, but just sharing that that's the approach here. And we did get some, I did not mean to click that, some feedback from, actually it was Reno, Nevada, about asking, why do you believe this person's experiencing homelessness? So we could, if desired, we could incorporate that at no additional charge if you wanted to include that kind of language. So I keep right clicking instead of left clicking. And something else to share while I'm in here is the new My Counts feature down here. So after I am done, if I want to see how I'm doing, I can either look at my surveys of what I've done. And I do a fair amount of testing too. So I've done 37 surveys, as well as I had no drafts ready for submission and 3 drafts needing review. So my drafts are down here. And if I click those, I will see my drafts. I can open those up, change things, and then submit them. You can use drafts either when you're working on something, need to go back to it, or you just don't have cell coverage, and you can save the information and then get back to it later. So there's that piece. I hit back too far. And then the other part down here is to know my region and team assignment. So this is just letting me know, if I've been assigned, where that would be. So that's like the high level overview of that. Any questions that came up in the chat on the app side of things?
Becky is doing a great job of answering them within the chat.
Beautiful.
So I think with time, if you could keep going, and Becky, if you don't mind continuing there.
All right, very good. This is all on the Simtech resources page on so pointintime.info/resources, I believe is the site. You'll have all these tools at your disposal. This is where you put in your local setup key right here. For testing and training purposes, you can use demo, the setup key of demo. But this is, if they were to hit this QR code with their phone, it would, depending if it's Android or Apple, they would give them access to where it is in the App Store. They download, they create an account, they put in that setup key, and then they're rolling. I mean, that's really the extent of it. It's not like a laborious task to get people trained. And you can actually have them submit while you have your count in test mode, which is something you can turn on and off. You can use that as a chance to make sure people know how to do these steps. So it might be part of your own local training. Just get one survey in, and we know we're good. So Becky's been good with questions. Command center, I'm gonna try to be quick because I know we're running low on time. So let me just jump over to the command center, and I have to bring this over. I'm just going to get a quick overview here. All right. So I'm in the demo data store. So if anyone is following along at home and wants to submit some surveys, you'll see those surveys. And again, to do that, you would be using the setup key of demo. You'd see them fall into this list view. On the summary side of it, when you first log in, this is what you'd be presented with, is what's going on in real time with my account. So you can see the balance between interviews and observations, and some basic demographic profile information. All of these are drill downs. So if you have some unknowns you want to follow up on, you can click on those and see a list. So there's that dynamic controls there. Most of the time you'll be living in this screen, and it's either going to be the map view. In this case, we've got a few from around the world, so it kind of spans it out. But you can see there's just people that tested out the demo site here in the United States. It's pretty cool to see the pinpoints all over the map. But I can pick on one of these, and then I can open up that survey, and I can work with it. So there's that side of it. And then if I want to go into list view, I can work it that way. All of this supports geospatial data collection and reporting. So if I were to subset this, I could do it, just for a COC. And for within your COC would be things like cities and towns, census tracts, et cetera. And then as far as working with data, most of these have hid the cell phone numbers. But again, I can use these filters on the side. I can filter by date range. Right now, I have some key filters in here. If I want to see what veterans we have to work with that need help, and maybe you can match them up with BASH or SSVF, I can filter just the veterans, and I can apply that, and then the list should shrink down. And you notice this whole column is veterans equals yes. I can export that data. I've got 138 responses. If I want to do it for geography, I can blend both the map and the filters together to say how many veterans do I have in this part of town. Do that kind of feature. The region management piece, all the setup is done in here. You're setting your region geography. You can bring in the known location pins. So the work that's been done up front to help define what those team areas are. And then from here, if I want to edit my region geography, it's literally just clicking puzzle pieces on a map. So these teams have already been set, so I'm not going to mess with that. But if I want to go into the teams, again, a region can be broken up into teams. And the Western team looks like it's got 3 users, and I can edit the team geography. So it's part of the region geography by clicking on the map and assigning that coverage area. The people that have volunteered to the volunteer registration portal, I can add them to a team, and I can add to a region and to a team. And I can, here's some also key information about, who I have on that team. So that's a high level. I'm going to pause any other questions that we have in the command center. Oh, and as far as generating a report, that's the most important thing. One of the most important things, the output, it's literally just going through the responses and then report, generate the HUD point in time report. And then here's all the criteria. If I already had the map selected, I could choose to filter by what I selected on the map, or I can subset it here. I could do it for just the veterans, for example, or of all records, like I just did the filter. So, and that will generate a HUD point in time report with click-throughs and data quality up front for you to work with. And then the deduplication, some of the post count admin, we'll talk about more of that probably in a follow-up webinar. The biggest thing for us today is to make sure you have what you need to collect the information, and then some data collection, cleanup, reporting that we'll do a follow-up webinar for to spend a little more time on that piece. And then I think that's at a good spot. A regional team leader, we can show what they would see. So really what a regional team leader would see is a pared down view, and it's just the data pertaining to the users that have been assigned to that region. So instead of seeing everything, they're seeing just the information for the users assigned to their region. So it allows for a cascading responsibility. So you've got your Uber account admins that see everything, and then you've got maybe have you break it up into 6 regions, 10 regions, depending how big you are. You break it up into sub-regions, have regional administrators working in the data quality, managing the teams, and that they own that part of it, but they're not seeing data for the other regions. So they control it, and then they let the Uber admin know that, you know, we're good, data quality is tight, you know, they give it, you know, and then, you know, once that's done, you know, you can do the final reports. So it's a way to spread out the work. All right. So without further ado, we'll do some questions. I do want to share this piece right here. So on the ongoing piece of you know, using data collection on a year-round basis to have a by name list of knowing who's on your street, not relying on a one-day exercise, or maybe it's gonna be 2 weeks for this year. You know, we do have the Show the Way app
over party loyalty
that could be implemented. So just going to share this real quick. It's a minute video, but it provides a demo of how this work can come together and always know who's on the street. Okay. So in general, ongoing data collection, not a one-time effort. Know the people that you're working with. I don't want to click that next video. You know, in that way, once you have a by name list, you know, part of it too is including them in your local prioritization model. The people living on the streets tend to get neglected when it comes to adhering to the HUD prioritization notice, because you do a really effective job in the shelters, but the people that are costing the community the most and have the most pressing needs tend to be the people living on the streets. So without really fully engaging them, you're not quantifying their needs, and you're not really including them and prioritizing them where they should be using empirical data. And so that's part of the goal, is to help inform who gets into permanent supportive housing that you do have available, reducing the amount of permanent supportive housing you actually need by using tools like what Miracle Messages has available, you know, supporting family reunification. You know, we're trying to work with what we have in this space. So ideally, we build a lot more housing, but this is not a reality, especially in markets like where we are here in San Diego, in California. There's just not the land and the zoning laws that make it difficult. So how do we work around that? Use what you have, use it better, and match people up to their loved ones where you can, and get creative. So that's the high level. The resources that we shared today, most of them, you've got the HUD resources, the Simtech resources, the Getting Started poster. We have an Excel-based tool for domestic violence providers that you can use, that I saw in the chat that people were talking about. Again, because of VAWA, the Violence Against Women's Act, we don't want to be hosting that sensitive information. So, and also this guidance just for your shelter providers on how to use the app. And they can use the browser-based version of the app, and they don't have to download. It's a little quicker, you know, doing what I just demoed. And there's a few other links right there. So, and the other thing, excuse me, is the national point-in-time trend dashboards. You know, what we're trying to do is quantify the extent of homelessness in your region, and then make sure you have the right resources to back that up and address the need. And you know, by knowing if you're moving the needle forward or backwards, you know, you can use these trend dashboards to do that. Unfortunately, HUD hasn't released the 2020 data as of yet, So one of the things that just you're to be aware of is we're working on tools to have you be able to share your 2020 and 2021 results and not have to wait for HUD so you have some tools to digest visually what's happening locally, and to be able to take screenshots of this, or however you want to do it, to message back to the community, this is what's happening locally, because you'll see within your data areas of strength and weakness. And the idea is to focus on your pain points. You go to the gym, you can't just work on your arms. Eventually, you gotta have a leg day once in there for a while. The same thing happens with homelessness. We have to work on some areas that might not be easy, but the data helps tell us, okay, yeah, you really should focus some more time and energy on that one piece. So those are available on our website. And again, any ideas you have, how we can support your work in helping people that are living on the streets or in the shelters, please let us know. You can get more information at pointintime.info and reach out to us anytime. We're here for you. We appreciate the work you're doing, and thank you for the time today to join us and just talking shop. And we wish you the best, and we are here for you. The virtual help desk is here. There's people behind it. It's not just a website, and we do care about the work that we're all doing together. So please engage us and let us help you make this a success. And without that, I think it's a wrap. And again, Happy New Year, and we'll be watching and monitoring the work as we go. All right, take care, everyone.